Hi everyone, this is a video about Knights and Merchants Remake, a specific map in there called Two Sides. It's a map that I think is both a good example of a building tutorial and a fighting tutorial. And I want to try to get into building tutorials more than fighting tutorials because by now all the videos in this playlist in this channel pretty much show all you need to know about fighting. But there might be some things in this video that might help you with fighting. In particular, perhaps penetrating very strong defenses like in this map. So first of all, this is a single player map called Two Sides. If you've never seen this map before, when you start it out, it might remind you of something immediately. A mission from the original campaign, the Shattered Kingdom. What mission is that? Mission 11, right? Unlike Two Sides, in this map you're given an army. So you can take revenge on those who killed your townsmen and
Into the battle!
the storyline here basically hints that you will not be able to make gold or iron weapons. The smithies for both of those are disabled with this map. So this is like the first map that I ever came across where you actually have to use the market in order to succeed. This map was created by Vatrix. And the reason why the map is called Two Sides might be a little bit obvious. If you look in the top left hand of the screen, I'm the red, I'm on the left, and the green is on the right. So two sides of the map and like nothing in between except for this small village here, which I was talking to Vatrix when he first made the map in that thread that this town was actually on our side. And it kind of distracted the green AI, so to speak, that it made it a little bit too easy. So I told him just to make it a neutral town, and he did. So it's an ally to both of us, but doesn't build an army at all itself. It's just here part of the landscape. This leads me into talking about the difficulty of this map as far as the AI is concerned. I'm going to talk about its offense and its defense. You're actually looking at an image right now, so I guess I'll briefly say, and I'll explain more details about these images later if you need it. But if you open up the video description, you'll find 4 images like this. This one in particular is my build from the 2014 plan. I think you'll find that the resolution of these 4 images is pretty good. If we go to the original map here, you have an opening to your town, and then the enemy has an opening to their town as well, but it's heavily guarded. But how are you going to defend? Well, you can use towers if you want to, but how I play this map is I just recommend to use buildings as a wall and then to have just one road tile in between each and to make them like a murder hole. I had these X's here under these barracks because at the start of the game you can't build these barracks unless you put a road tile in these exact locations. It's going to cost you a stone for each of these X's, but after you place them, then you can place these barracks. And it turns out that if I put a barracks right here, you see that X there, it's stopping me from building it. But no soldier can go above this barracks building fence if you place this barracks building fence and therefore make the building there. And it also turns out that if we just keep on going and we make the placements, then this is the place where you would put the bottom barracks. So you need to have 2 X's. Well, maybe it's here actually. It's right above this tree. So it's these 2 here. But anyway, now I believe it's time that we take a look at the AI. Some examples of its offense and its defense. First, we're going to take a look at its offense, but it's not necessarily separate from its defense, as we will see. All of these shots are going to be from my 2014 game win. And so first of all, the first attack comes from the eastern village at 1 hour and 15 minutes. So this is going to be me showing you an attack from them, from that town, and how to defend. You have the knights in the neutral village, so when they come, you're going to have to grab one of those knights to hit at their crossbowmen to filter them out for the rest of the army, and let the rest of the army go to your murder holes at the between the 3 barracks. So we're going to see that in just a little bit. So here they come, and I'm going to take a knight and just hit, and that will draw them away from their original destination, and I kill them here, and the rest of the army is going to my barracks, and they're going to get killed, and I'm not going to lose any men from them. Unlike attacks from the eastern village, the attacks from the northern village are going to be more frequent, and I should say unpredictable in their frequency as well. They're not periodic like that one is, for the like the ones for the eastern town are. But basically, I just take a knight and hit at their crossbowman here, and hope he doesn't die. I have him go straight east to get away from them, and he will lead them to their death with his knight accomplices. And the rest of the army will go and get slaughtered. And I won't have any losses. I just want to show you again another attack from them and how I handled it. It's the same idea. You have to sometimes go around the knights in order to get them. You didn't really see that much in this example, but it varies a little bit, but you have to try to maintain the consistency in how you handle them. Try to make it the same every single time they come, whenever they come. I want to show just one more shot of them attacking, just to show you how it can get tricky, where you have to literally go in between the knights to get the crossbowmen. Sometimes you will fail, but when you fail, at least you stop the crossbowmen from going to your town, because you do not want the crossbowmen to go to your building fences, your buildings. So even though I lost him here, it stopped the crossbowmen and the groups stay. So that's a weakness of the offense, if you think about it. So from this point, you have to kill them. You can't let them stay there. So I'm going to take a knight as soon as it's clear, and I'm going to have him draw them towards where they should have gone, should my other knight survived. And that's how I cleaned that up. And the attacks from the northeast are a little bit strange because it's split. Part of it comes from the top, part of it comes from here. So you have to be aware of that. So you see the crossbowmen up there, you have to get them. But in order to get them, you have to go through to these knights, so you don't want to lose your knight by having contact with those knights. And then right after comes the swordsman, so you have to time everything right to get to them. And things can get more complicated, as we'll see soon, when more than one town attacks you at the same time. Let's take a good look at how good the defense is for the town. Just with those few troops. Don't need a whole lot, but it kills them all. The troops that you see here are the only troops you need to defend your town. That's it. The problem is with the offense is that they can send so many troops sometimes that even though one town's attack is almost finished, another one's going to start. As you'll see, the north is going to attack in just a short while, and I have to be aware of that even before I'm done killing them. So I saw that they were coming, so I got them, and so the pattern continues. Sort of reminds me of Invasion, when one wave comes after the other and the wave's not complete yet before another wave comes, so it's like a continuous flow of offense. One important thing to mention is that as your army accumulates for your offense and not so much for your defense, you need to turn your bowmen or crossbowmen around that aren't part of your main defense, because you've seen here the defense was fine, but if you have too many archers, then you will lose men. You'll kill your own men with your own arrows. You don't want to do that, so keep them facing away. In this clip, we're going to see how powerful the offense can be. In other words, seeing when all the towns are going to attack at the same time here. This is very rare to happen, but it does happen sometimes. So it's first the eastern village. So you have to take care of their crossbowmen group like normal, but now the north is attacking. So you have to somehow get a knight to go through. I tried to get him to go through, but it failed. So I have to get him to go through instead. And now the northeastern village is also coming. That's their horses. So what do? I got the attention of the northeastern archers there. And the north. With that single knight.
Fire at will!
Just look at the top right of the screen of the map, all the green on the map. It's quite a bit. And this doesn't really hurt them when you kill all these men. It really doesn't hurt them. They regroup and replenish their troops in no time, and you get attacked again, especially from the north. And you may not have got it from the previous clip, but you should notice that I am swapping my knights when they get hungry, because we can't forget about them from down there in the south, because they're the key to defending your town from the attacks, because they filter out the crossbowmen. So just don't forget to do that. That's another thing to keep track of. So we have a pretty strong offense here, but it's not the best, but it's not bad. Right here I was trying to take this knight to try to weaken the north, because that's the first thing you can do to weaken the offense. Try to just bring this knight here to draw these knights out to go kill them at my home base. But when I put him here, the northeast sent a wave to attack, and they were starting to attack my knight, so that became their defense for the north, even though it was from the northeast. The knights that I had in the south that we just talked about them, that you should swap them out when you feed them, they shouldn't be placed higher than the highest woodcutters in the southern village. Otherwise, the northeast is going to attack them, as you saw there. But assuming you can get your troops there, this is one thing you can do. Put the bowmen there to fire at the watchtower. That will draw out the crossbowmen without any problems. The problem is, the same type of thing happened as it just happened in the previous clip. The northeast is attacking again, but they didn't attack me directly, but I'm just in the way, so now they're killing me. So, we're almost there, but we still haven't made it. As in, we have to time things right. So that's another thing about we're starting to get into the defense now, that the offense and defense are still not differentiated yet. This is another way to lure the northern army out. At least the knights. Because it happens sometimes that crossbowmen are stuck there from another wave. This is an instance when I tried to do the same thing to the northern AI and my knight got killed. So I do it again, just to show you one more time how it looks. This is how you can take advantage of some crossbowmen that are neglected. Even if the crossbowmen are too far away, you can still hit a surf, in this instance, to draw out those crossbowmen. But realistically, you want to combine more than one of these together. That way you can empty the top AI as fast as possible. So you're about to see me hit some neglected crossbowmen with a knight, and also fire at the watchtower with the bowmen at the same time. Well, almost the same time. So I draw them out with him, and now I'm going to draw the crossbowmen out with this bowman as soon as I can. You want to speed things up, this is what you have to do to get them out. You have to be very aggressive, as they are. Because if you're not aggressive enough, then it's going to be like you never hurt them. Just like, because this is literally the same game, but I didn't succeed in my attempts to attack them and kill them. So here I am trying yet again to kill them. So I'm drawing them out yet again. It's like I didn't even touch them before. And the northeast is going to come and attack me this time, and I'm going to lose quite a few troops when they come attack. So now I'm officially going from offense to defense, I would say, with this map. And this defense, even of itself, is very good. Right now it's all the northern town, but you're going to see in a short while that the northeast is going to attack me, and yet that again will become, instead of an offensive attack, it will become a defensive attack. See, right now it's still the top, so the north, I almost have them. And see, the laborers, that's also a good part of the defense of this map. If you play it in R6700 or later, perhaps, the laborers work. For some reason in 6720 it doesn't work like it did here in Knights and Merchants Remake version r6367 that I mentioned earlier. But here we go. This is the northeast attacking me, but it turned out to be like a defense for the north, and I lost all my men. So I'm still denied in destroying the northern village. In this situation, I wanted to do another attack, and here, as part of the defense, I would say, even though they're not connected at all, the eastern village is attacking me, which delays me because I have some more soldiers to pull through for this attack, so I have to wait. And here's the army still there, and I somehow forgot about them. And, well, that's not good if you leave your army there. I should have brought them back down just for security purposes, but I didn't, and then this is what happens. And sometimes you don't lose any if you just settle for your losses and try to regroup, send your hungry armies back home, and just try again later. And so that's the defense for the north. But now we're going to get into the defense for the northeast. At this point in the game, I destroyed the northern village, finally. So now I'm trying to get to the northeast. One group, doesn't matter, doesn't phase them. It's not a problem, right? This is repetitive, this is so AI, right? You can see that their night groups are coming to an end. But we have this night that keeps coming. Constantly. It never stops. So that's one thing that's going for this defense, is that that night will always keep coming. It never gets tired. It's such a tight spot, even though it's not as strong as the eastern villages opening to their village. It's still pretty strong. So I'm trying to just free up some space, but anything I do is going to trigger those knights to come after me. So now I'm trying to get the pikemen. And now next would be the watchtower. The problem is I have some laborers that are going to be repairing that watchtower. So this first approach was a typical approach to try to destroy the watchtower. But I've learned now that if I was to do this again, I would not try to destroy the watchtower. I would just empty it of stones or lose men as needed and block it from being reloaded. The northeast has quite a bit of backup troops. And another good thing that's going for this defense as well is that laborers are continuously being trained in the schoolhouse. We can see that here. If we go to the schoolhouse, they're continuously being trained. And in fact, this knight that would consistently sing is not from this village. It's from another village. It's from the center one. That's above the eastern. That's why it's not stopping, because no matter what we do to the northeast, that is coming from another AI player. But now we're pretty much through the defenses, but it took quite a bit of work because we had to first go through the northern village before we could even come here. Since trying to go through the north is so difficult, how is it to go through the east? As a final demonstration of the power of this defense, I'm going to show how to penetrate the eastern town with an initial army that you make from the market at the very beginning of the game. Because really, at this point, it's the fastest way to get troops over here. So at its weakest point, we're going to try to penetrate it. Because I usually wouldn't dare to try to penetrate this even with my army and later in the game if I actually build the towns that I'm going to show you how to build and use the market to trade and all for. But when I first saw this map, I did not have the guts to do this, but last year in 2018 I decided to give it a try, a serious try. They get produced pretty quickly because, let me just comment about this right now. Their barracks, unlike the other towns, this barracks has nothing in it. So we're going to see in a short while that I take advantage of that. But for right now, I'm just trying to penetrate the eastern town with this barracks full of recruits. So we're going to have to count down, so to speak, until all the recruits in here are gone. But I'm trying to just draw out one group after another. Group of 12, right? Group of 12. And they keep on getting replaced. But we're at 57 in the barracks. We're counting down now. I have some more troops coming. I'm still trading. When you fire at their towers, they don't come. And when you do fire at them, it's just one group at a time. It sort of reminds me of the original game. So unlike a lot of maps in the remake that almost every single group of a player comes after you, Vatrix designed this so that for the most part you have something that resembles the original game, which is very neat. Speaking of which, may I mention that Vatrix made some campaign fixes for the Shattered Kingdom and the Peasants' Rebellion from the original game. So pretty much AI might behave just like they do in this map. So if you like the behavior, go check out those campaigns that he edited. I hit them in a very soft spot. That's why more came that time. But it takes an effort and save reloads to figure out, or just trial and error, your way to getting more and more to come at a time. Because eventually this schoolhouse is going to start producing recruits. So it's a rush to empty them out. We started around 11 minutes. So 18 minutes has passed and just nothing. Doesn't show that I did anything to him. He's still very, very strong. His serfs come and reload the watchtowers almost immediately. I have to be very careful, otherwise they get killed by the cross movement up here, much less the ones down here. I'm going to eventually try to put my horsemen, my 2 scout, through, and I'm going to bring everybody to take hits from the arrows in order to do it. I have to make some sacrifices to get them through. But it's just too strong. I tried with many saves to get them through, but I couldn't. Because what I'm going to do at this point is, when you play this map, is all the troops in front here, they only defend from this side. If you have troops that you make it through here and you're way back here, it takes a little bit of effort to get their attention. Not a whole lot, but some. So now that my 2 scout are in, I'm going to just simply wait until enough serfs have passed to slip them through to the end to start killing all of this town's serfs. So it took almost 25 minutes to do that, and that's intense aggression. And may I interject and say that for those who are very good at starving out towns, this one's not so easy to starve out, even though that the troops in front, like I just told you, cannot really sense when you're way back there by the end of the wall barrier of the map. As I have scouts go through, it was kind of difficult to do this, but eventually they're going to come to the part of the map where the front troops that I just told you about, they cannot see. They cannot sense, I should say. And so the objective here is to try to kill the serfs, even though that army is not coming. And yes, you can do quite a bit of damage. Going for their barracks up there, and so this is another way that you can think of playing this game. But I'll get into a quick win at the very end of this video that trumps this any day. This approach. So I took out the northeast. Basically disabled them, I should say. So now I'm going to go and try to empty out this town of its troops and just have them chase him. He's going to go on a loop down here over and over and over again. So he's going to use the entire landscape to keep them going. And in the meantime, my other 2 scout that I have in here are going to take out the storehouse so that at least I can try to starve out this town. And this is the interjection that I'm trying to make here, is that even when I'm trying to starve them out, there is no food in this inn. Okay, so the storehouse is gone. Hopefully, I say, yay, the eastern village can be starved, their army, so I don't have to engage with them at all. Yay, right? The citizens are dying, everything's great, right? Not so much. Because we have a mill here, and a bakery, and they're right next to the army, which if you go and try to attack them, it will trigger the army's attention. And so this army is going to be able to be fed, and also by these vineyards. So that's another form of defense for the army that's there, at least, that it prevents you, even though you can stop production of the troops. There's troops that are there that build up, you still can't get rid of them by starvation. If all fails for the AI, it still has this going for it with defense. So my objective is to kill the farmers. I killed one farmer, but I'll have to come back for this farmer later. So here we go. I made a sacrifice, but hey, at least that is going to starve them now. Even though that these vineyards are still here, they're going to, the farmers in them are going to starve eventually, because food is continuously being brought to the troops, so eventually they will all starve. But if you don't kill these two farmers, then most definitely there will be enough food for them to not starve at all, and the town will keep going. So now we have an idea of what kind of army we're up against. We've seen both its offense and its defense. We have to now remember that in addition to that intense army that we have to fight against and defend against, we have limited ways of building. We have to trade for gold chests, and we have to trade for iron weapons, armor, and shields if we want that as well. Now I'm going to change focus from fighting to building, because I believe I covered fighting pretty well and defending pretty well. But may I mention that the last part of this video will be dedicated to showing you a way to speedrun this mission. And what I mean by that is not really having to build much of anything at all, only a market pretty much and a barracks to trade to get weapons. But even then, it's kind of unobvious how to go and attack the AI in such a way that you take out the entire AI as fast as possible. So we have to take a look at how Vatrix designed the AI a little bit to be able to have an idea on how to do that. But I'm going to first talk about building, because it can be very satisfying in this map, especially once you get everything down. Because this map requires you to use the market, you might want to know what's best to trade. If you want to go all leather, then this video may not be entirely for you. But if you want to go leather just with bowmen, and then you have iron armored troops for infantry and or for horsemen like knights, then this video is pretty much for you, because there's two different towns that I built. There's one that I built when this map came out, and then there's another town that I built last year. But with both of them, I trade skins and pigs for iron armor and weapons. I'll post a link to this thread in the video description. Inside is an image showing you the market. The resources that are in the left column are the ones that you trade, and then the resources that are in the top row are the ones that you get from trading. So in other words, left is in, top is out. On this times table, for example, we see that if we want to trade a tree trunk for a tree trunk, that makes no sense, so there's no value there. But then if we want to trade stones for trunks, it takes 9 stones to get 1 trunk. That's how you read this chart. In other words, the smaller the number is in the time chart, the better the trade is for you, the more it's worth it to make the trade. So if our objective, I'll get to gold in a minute, but if our objective is to obtain iron weapons and iron shields, they cost the same amount. If we look at the iron shield column, what are the smallest numbers in that column? They appear to be these, right? They're all 2. But of these, it's counterproductive to trade iron armor and iron weapons for an iron shield. And most certainly not horses either, because horses is the most expensive thing. And there's a phrase here I'm going to add: if it is not late game. If it's not something that you just want to do at the end of the game in order to finish it quickly, if you for some reason have a bulk of any of the others and you want to balance it out to get some shields in this example, then sure, you can trade any of these for that. But otherwise, we are left with pigs and skins, and I trade them for iron shields, swords, and iron armor. If we look at the column of market trade values for gold, the smallest number, there's the single smallest number in this column is for horses, as you can see. And then we have a whole bunch of ones, but some of them, like pigs and skins, well, we're already using that for iron weapons, so maybe it's not a good idea to use it for gold, and so I don't. It might be alright to trade some extra leather armor for gold in late game, or sometime in the middle even, when you're desperate for gold and you have some leather armor. If you're making bowmen, for example, you're not going all leather, you just have leather for bowmen, it's a good idea, but it's still not the best. It's kind of expensive even with that, so I don't recommend it generally. I chose wine in my first build in 2014. If we take a look at the map, we have some gold ore down here, and you can mine for it if you want, and also some coal and some iron ore here. You can mine those, you can build the mines, but you're not allowed to build the smithy buildings. Those are disabled in this map. But the point is, you mine these and then you trade them for gold. So for me, I don't really build in the bottom half of this map, like above this gold ore mountain. That's where I pretty much keep my town. I don't go beneath it. So even though that those raw materials are the same trade rate as wine barrels are, those resources are limited. So when they run out, they run out. But wine barrels, as you know, they're unlimited. So I wanted to choose wine barrels out of all of them. If we briefly take a look at the column for stone, another reason why I chose to produce wine barrels in order to trade for gold is because there's the rate that if you trade one wine barrel, you get one stone. Now typically you wouldn't want to do this in a game, but it might be required for late game in this particular map, because even though we have 576 stone in this mountain here, we go up here, we see that it's 1013, but you can see the red there and the mountain blocking it, so you can't really collect that stone in that mountain. So especially if you don't just build in the top half of this map, but you want to build below here to go and mine these resources or cut these trees, then it's going to cost more stone, more than what you can afford to build with just 576 stone from here, and you're starting 60 stone from the storehouse. So that's why in my first build from 2014, I ended up settling with building a town that produces lots of wine barrels. And even more so for those who choose not to use buildings, but rather watchtowers for defense, it will be even more imperative to have stone. In my build from last year in r6720, I decided to use bows. And bows and lances and axes all have the same trade rate with gold, but since I'm equipping bowmen, I obviously need to use bows, and that's something that I will get to later, but I first want to show the build from 6367 remake version, because that one I think overall might be more stable, but it's a little slower than my build from r6720. I provide some links to some images in the video description of my build plan and all the unobvious details that you need to know about it in the game settings that I had set while I was playing. On the top you can see that I have the statistics and the timber distribution of wares and corn distribution of wares. The coal and iron distribution of wares is not applicable to this map because just you're not allowed to make any smithies, so therefore not any buildings afterwards either. But the entire image width of this is pretty much the width of your building space, and this image right here has terrain wires. This is something that you can access by pressing the F11 key in the remake, just so that you can see how many tiles of road were laid between each building and all. But this is basically a pre-build plan. As you can see here, this is a storehouse building fence, and in it I show you which resources I blocked in the storehouse, just so that it keeps the town running as efficiently as possible based on how I built the buildings relative to their location to each other. Because if we go to the statistics, you can see that I don't have that many serfs compared to what some people use. You can go over here and you can see that I have different resources blocked in that storehouse, and then the one up here I have different resources blocked in that one as well. Now maybe what catches your eye is this. Well, I have this here because, well, this is the butchers. We need to trade pigs for iron weapons and iron armor and iron shields. So in order for the pigs to build up that you can start to trade them in mass amounts later on in the game, after you first build the single butchers, I only have one butchers as you can see in the statistics. After a certain point, when the sausage build up beyond like 50 or so, then might be a good idea to turn this building off, then have some pigs build up and then trade them for iron weapons, and then when sausages start to run low, then you turn them back on, and so forth. We go over here, the same thing with the one tannery that I have, because I don't really need that many tanneries. I just have bowmen, and everything else is produced slow enough, including gold. I have to trade for gold as well. We have to remember that we have to trade for gold, so production isn't going to be as fast as it normally is, so one tannery can keep up with the gold, I would say. That's why I have just one. But the same situation, you don't want him to take in skins because you're trading skins for iron weapons, iron armor, and iron shields. So that's why I have that symbol there. So whenever you see this image in the future, that's just a reminder. The barracks. With this barracks, I have that the building is open because I marked these three barracks here closed. Obviously I have these closed because they're just like a wall. They're not an actual barracks that I want my recruits and weapons to be transported to. In addition, you may recall at the beginning of the video I mentioned why I have these X's here, to signify that you have to place these road tiles before you can place these building fences. So that's why I have those X's there, just to help you remember, so you don't have to keep on looking at the map and going back and forth to see what you have to place in order to put these should you decide to defend that way. But now lastly is the markets. For those who haven't seen the market before, whatever you left click, that will be bordered with green. That is the resource that you trade. And whenever you right click after you select that left click, and that will turn red. That is the resource that you get from the trade. So in this build, my build from 2014, I have one market here by my schoolhouses for what? For trading for gold, but also what I told you earlier is that I train the wine barrel for stone and later in the game. And also it might speed up things, speed up the build if I needed temporarily in the middle part of the game, even if I have stone to collect from the mountain that was originally down here, which is no longer there. Because this is a screenshot at the end of the game. That's how I got the screenshot. But if we come up here, so I made exactly 3 for each one to trade for each of the iron weapons, iron shields or iron armor respectively. So if we go to the statistics, I have a total of 4 markets. You can see in the bottom center, I have 4 markets in my 2014 build. If we go to my build plan from 2018, again a link to this image will be in the video description. When we view its statistics, it only shows that I built 2 markets. And we go here, we can see that the first market that comes to focus is trading bows for gold. And then the second market up here is for pigs and skins for everything else. And that was it. So for this one you have to micromanage more. This plan, when you only have 2 markets, one for gold and one for all the iron resources that you want to trade for, it's going to require some micromanaging and pacing. The plan for the remainder of the video is for me to provide a commentary of replays of my build order for both my 2014 and 2018 pre-build plans that you have access to in these images. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the build order for the build in which I create wine barrels to trade for gold. If you noticed at first, this terrain is explored now as my serfs and laborers make their way to the storehouse. But then all of a sudden it's going to go away. But before it does, you see that building fence there for the woodcutters? I put that there on purpose. So if you look in the top of the screen, it disappeared, but now he's going up. So it gives me a way to explore this part of the map. It's a little trick. So I don't honor how the road is pre-placed here in this build. As you can see, I'm blocking that part of the road with that schoolhouse building fence. And in this build, in the build image, as you will see, if we go down here, there is no quarries anywhere. This image is actually from the end of the game. I destroyed all the buildings and then made this image from that point. So unlike my 2018 game where I traded bows for gold, which we will get to after this one, the quarries are visible in the last build. I don't destroy them and build over them, but in this one I do. Okay. So now we are starting out. Okay, so now that's built, I'm gonna go collect this wood here, and I'm gonna eventually go collect that wood. First, I'm gonna come down here and collect this wood. Important thing is that this woodcutters, I'm gonna put him on felled only, so that he only chops wood, he doesn't plant it, because I need to build there. I'm gonna move my wood. I'm gonna build my wood collecting down here. So currently I have that amount of resources in the storehouse. Yeah, I don't honor this at all. I build over the cornfields and everything. I'm not going to go through this whole replay, of course. I'll go through maybe around 57 minutes at this pace or faster for the most part. As you can see, this is the only stone mountain that I can collect stone from. So in this build, I might here and there, I'm not sure, I won't go into too much details with the replay itself that you see here. But I'll provide a link to this in the description as well, this replay. But you probably will not be able to play it. Yeah, probably I guess I won't. Not for this one, but for the other one I will, because this is in r6367 nightly. It's a version of the remake that you probably don't have access to. But I don't know, I might end up posting a link to that version of the remake if it's still available. Or I might post a link, I don't know, I'll decide what to do with that. So what I'm trying to do right now is, I have enough gold at the moment, so I'm not worried about building wine fields yet. I'm trying to get the corn started and the wood started. And I want to place these, even though the first attack doesn't come until an hour and 15 minutes, it's not a bad idea to put these barracks to defend my town in place so that I can use them later on. Now that I get some wood going, I'm going to start to place the grape fields because I'm going to need gold sooner or later, and I have to trade the wine barrels for gold in this build. So it's extra constraint. That's why I like this map. It's extra constraint to get you started. Because in a regular map, I mean, you would have had 10 gold being produced 10 minutes ago. You would have some coal mines up and gold mines up. And 1 or even 2 metallurgists running. I'm not in a hurry to build the buildings themselves, but I lay out their building fences as a plan. But as you can see here, I'm going to build a storehouse so that when the wine makers make enough wine barrels that they can't make any more because they have a full stock of them in their building, because I'm not going to store it in the storehouse here. I'm going to store it there so that the serfs can bring the wine barrels to the market, which I'm going to place right here to the immediate right of the storehouse that's burning. I'm making my way up to get that wood. I'm finished, well, almost done chopping this wood down. So that's an important marker for the build in this map. For the build order, I mean. I'm gonna throw up an early stable. I guess it's not early, but consider I only have 1 swine farm up. Because I want to get at least 1 scout or 1 knight by 1 hour and 15 minutes. At least 1. I need it. I probably should have 2 or more. But I need at least 1. Because of how you saw I defend. And let me just, while I'm saying that, it's probably really obvious, but down here I show in the images what I recommend to have as knights in the neutral town. You need to have them at this level, not any higher up in the map. Otherwise, the northeastern village is going to sense them when they come attack them instead of your town. So you have to keep them below the top of this woodcutter here, just exactly as they are in this image. I have this screenshot in the bottom of every single one of these 4 images as a reminder of that. Alright. So I still haven't built my barracks that defend yet, but I have 1 hour and 15 minutes. I have until 1 hour and 15 minutes to have them built. But as you can hear, I'm trading wine barrels for gold at this point. I'm running low on food, so I'm gonna throw up a butcher's in a second. It'll be here. Well, it's not a second, but in a couple of minutes or so, and produce some sausage. I just gonna have it so as soon as he's built and it registers with the serfs that he exists, I'm gonna turn it off because I want those pigs to be used to be traded for iron weapons, armor, and shields. And hence why I have on and off, depending on the time in the game. When I really need to have the pigs available for trade for iron weapons, armor, and shields, then I turn it off. Otherwise, I turn it on until I have excess sausages. Then I turn it off and just store all the pigs and skins in this storehouse here. This is pretty much the end of this build. I'm going to have this woodcutter cut all this wood because eventually I'm going to, as you can see in the final build, just have farms and swine farms up here. But in my next build, I'll have wood up here and down here, because I'm going to be trading bows for gold instead of wine barrels. That's pretty much the end of the build. Now I'm going to build the barracks there, but so by an hour I have one market up, and I start trading just a little bit to have an even number of swords, shields, and iron armor to make some knights. If I don't have enough horses, I'll make sword fighters, but I need to have at least one scout or some horsemen to have over here. And this is just a late game shot of these markets in action, just to see how it flows and how you have one selected here for shields, and then I'm looking at the butchers to see how many pigs I have, if I need to block it or not. But just looking. Yeah, the one for the market for the gold, I don't have it active at the moment. But anyway. Alright, so now we're going to take a look at my 2018 build. This is an r6720. I can definitely supply a replay file link to this one in the video description. Said for several reasons, the other one might be preferable over this build, because this one only has two markets, one for gold primarily and one for iron weapons, shields, and armor. But this town can be more productive than the other one, so it depends on your preference. But this one, I take advantage of the road that was given to me, unlike the other one. And again, I will keep these quarries here. I will not destroy them once they're finished collecting stone from this mountain. But I don't change anything about how I deal with the wood here. I just chop it all. Now fast forward a little bit. You can see I'm building the wood down here. Nothing really that much different than the previous build, except for if you notice the time, the current time, and how many farms I have up. I tried to really rush the farms this time, because I can afford to, because I didn't have to build a whole bunch of wine fields in order to then make wine barrels to then trade for gold. I could just make wood and then go straight to a weapons workshop and then to gold. So I could afford to prioritize with the farms a little bit earlier, knowing that I have that extra time and wood to go ahead and do that. And I do build a mill here because I want to balance. I don't know if I traded here or what. I guess we can see what I did with these flour. Currently, right now, I am going to store them in the storehouse. But if anything, it's to help balance the food. I guess because if I really wanted to rush the map, rush this game, so I want to have the maximum amount of pigs possible, more pigs to trade for iron weapons, armor, and shields, that I wanted to have some food. That's probably was the main idea of this, just to have one. I showed the distribution of wares for corn in the top right here, and it's set at 1, so I give the mill a little bit priority, but not a whole lot. So now he's done chopping the wood. So I built these kind of earlier, I think, or at least the road to it pretty early in this one. fast forward a little bit. So this time I'm not just going to have one woodcutters up here. I'm going to have, I think, a total of 3 eventually. Make sure as soon as you build these barracks that you block them so that no bows, because at this point there are bows being produced, be traded for gold, but they don't come into this barracks here. My real barracks is not even built yet. But wow, at this point I have, let's see, how many farms? I have 7 farms and almost 3 swine farms up. No stable yet. Current resources, I have plenty of wood that I can keep producing bows to trade for gold and produce bows for bowmen and to build. So I'm doing good with wood. I have 3 woodcutters down here, and I think that's all I need for down there, and then I'm going to build 2 more up here. I have a total of 6. So 48 minutes, I have 9 bows in my barracks already, even though I traded quite a few for gold. And when I traded for gold, I'm going to eventually, yeah, right now I am trading for them. And that's the advantage of building the barracks right next to the marketplace also, is because if I have some bows that are stored in here, so to speak, then I can just bring them here. It's not too much of a loss of time. The first stable is up. Okay. Yeah, I mean, from this point, it's pretty much self-explanatory about what needs to happen, and you'll have access to this replay. There's really nothing really more to see. You have those images for the building plan, and you've pretty much seen the base of the building order from this point, should you not download those replays. What I want to get to next is to talk about how to beat this in an alternate way. Building like this is really nice. Being able to use the market to trade for gold and iron weapons, armor, and shields is pretty nice. A different experience than other single player maps. We've already seen that this map has a very strong AI defense and a pretty decent offense. What if there was a way that you could beat this without doing any of the building that you've seen before? And that's what this replay is going to show you. How to win it fast. Speedrun it. I'm going to use the market to trade food and other resources for weapons and immediately produce soldiers. As you can see in the top here, I complete this mission in 32 minutes. This is an r6720, so I'll definitely supply this replay in the video description. I'll provide a link to it rather than to the forum. Or I guess I will do both so you can see when my post about it and when it was. So right now, I didn't show it yet, but as you can see, the market, I'm trading some sausage for axes, but I'm going to, as a courtesy, after this replay is done, I'm going to go through the whole thing again to show you what I traded for what, at what time, just to let you know. But at first, I'm going to create militia because they're the cheapest troop to make. because I need to get to the towns as fast as possible to stop them from producing troops. So right now, as soon as militia are created, I'm going to produce, I think, 4 total. So as soon as they're created or trained, I have them do this as follows: to go to this specific location. These towers are loaded with stones, but you can run them through if you reload sufficient saves, or maybe you don't have to reload any saves. They will somehow magically not get killed. So with these militia, I'm going to be killing the villagers from this town in view at the moment. This is going to disable them. So this is one of 4 towns to destroy. This is the first one. There's a troop down there, a crossbowman, so that's why I'm moving up these militia, because this crossbowman is after him, so that I can kill him with this militia. And he's going to go 2 tiles below this schoolhouse. And he's going to stay there to kill units as they're being created from the schoolhouse, to start to take out the northeast almost immediately as the game begins. But at the same time, I'm going to have this militia that is by the swine farm come up here to go in front of a metallurgist up here. But why am I doing that? If I click on this metallurgist, let me pause for a second, it says player 6. But this right here, if I click on the storehouse, is player 4. So you change to player 4. But player 6, who's player 6? Oh, it's the northern village. Northern village is player 6. All the serfs from this village are going to be killed. That way I can take them out. So that's all I literally have to do, is place him there, and I have 3 of the 4 towns taken care of. So what's left is this town down here. We've already seen how difficult it is to take them out head on at the beginning of the game, even though we attack them as soon as possible by trading with the market as we're doing now. But it took quite a bit of work to do that. And yet, but now, ironically, they're going to be the last to take out in this quick win. So I have 2 militia there. I'll eventually use them to go destroy the buildings in player 6's town, the northern town. But we're almost done winning this map already. Fast forward the game just a little bit. As you can see, I'm working on these buildings. In this map, you don't have to actually destroy the schoolhouses in order to win. Just the storehouses and the barracks and all the troops. That's the winning conditions, and that you don't get killed. Of course. But I just put some building fences here not too long ago. I'm going to lure out some of the sword fighters from this village here. It's just one group. That's all that was produced. All the serfs are gone now. So I'm going to come grab this group of sword fighters and kill them behind these building fences. I'll get to the troops down here a little bit later on. So there I go. I'm going to take him up there and go get them. In the meantime, I'm able to take out these buildings without making these troops come after me. Now I remember on a few tries that I had to reload saves. For some reason, some of the army from down there would come up here and kill them. But in this particular reload, they didn't, so I kept them there. But it's pretty safe to say that you can destroy this building as long as you keep them on this side of the building as you see. Nothing fancy here, just one militia per building. And the building is going to definitely fall before 32 minutes. So now here I am luring them out. I'm going to put some troops here that okay, here they come, some pikemen, some lance carriers, because they're cheaper than other units. I'm going to put my men on this side of the building fence. Luckily the crossbowmen and the towers can't kill them from this distance. So I'll take them out from there and see what else is going on. At this point, it was kind of tricky, but this watchtower belongs to player 4. Player 4 is northeastern, who's up here. So I had to wait until all the serfs from that town were dead. Then I could come here, and I took a scout and emptied this tower of stones. Now I'm going to take a few militia and put them here. Another one will, two more will be coming for a total of 3, so that when I ultimately lure out this entire army, that they can take out this last village's buildings. So now I'm pretty much done with them. And now I'm going to move all the troops to the other side. And I'm going to take this scout and I'm going to move him down here. As you'll see, he is going to come down. And I'm going to place him. I had to experiment, but I had to put him here because in order to get the attention of even these pikemen way down here and these sword fighters, everybody, I had to attack the farmer at this vineyard right here with him. That's what I had to do. It was unobvious, but and at this point, just like we saw when I was taking this town out head on, there are still 30 recruits in the barracks. Fortunately, it doesn't create troops with all of the recruits in the barracks. Just one every once in a while. But one every once in a while is nothing that these militia here can handle together. As long as I lure them out, as I'm about to do with this scout, as soon as this farmer comes out to get more grapes, I'm going to draw all of them to these building fences. There we go. So they all are coming. And I have to eventually kill these knights, so I place these building fences here to kill them with whatever I draw them out with, which will be a scout and 2 pikemen or a pikeman and a lance carrier or something like that. And I'll take out the army, this army right here, simultaneously. So here they come, and now I'm able to attack the buildings, and a horseman just gets over there from the barracks, doesn't even defend its own buildings. And that's pretty much all there is to that. I still haven't gotten those horsemen yet. And that's pretty much the end of this map. Remember, I leave the schoolhouses on purpose. You don't need to destroy them in order to win. And there we go. There they are, and then I'm going to draw these crossbowmen out. They're probably the last troops that I kill. That was really all I had to say about that. And that's it. So I'm going to go back to the beginning so that we can see what I traded for from the beginning. Okay. Okay, so here we go in sequence, and I'll make a few comments as this is happening. So I'll keep this here the entire game so you can see what was traded and what troops I produced. So those are the first two militia, the third one, the fourth one. So I make them rush to the town. You have to do it by 8.5 minutes or so, otherwise there are too many troops that are built up there that you won't be able to penetrate and kill their serfs. I also beat this in r6720, I believe, in 30 minutes. Like 30 minutes and 30 seconds or so. So it's 30.5 minutes. But actually, in these quick wins here, that I beat this one in 32 minutes, as you will see in the forum post that I linked to in the video description about this. I actually slowed down the clock with this like I did in the Shadow Kingdom mission 20 in 4.5 minutes. I slowed down the clock, but not so much as that, but a third of the time. So the time ticks 3 times as slow as normal in order for me to keep track of trading in the market. That was the main thing. As fast as possible trade, because like when you have to trade, as you can see or will see soon, I traded like 7 gold chests for a horse. That it takes them forever to go back and forth and load this market with enough gold to trade for a resource, that I lose track of time, and then I have to end up reloading saves because I lost time that I could have them trade for more armor or weapons or something to make more troops as I'm fighting. So I slowed down the game time so I could keep track of the market better. But if you don't slow down the game time at all, as you'll see in the internet forum post, I beat this, basically what I'm trying to say, in 45 minutes in regular game time speed. So I know that at least with save reloads and no adjusting to time pace, you can beat it in 45 minutes. And you can see here I built an inn because I didn't want him to starve. The reason why is I wanted this to be a 0 loss replay. It means I lost no men on account of my own. I only have 3 losses. When we see the stats, I only have 3 losses, and that's because those are my villagers from the beginning of the game that I couldn't help losing, just like in the mission of the Shadow Kingdom mission 11, how we lose those initial villagers. You can't help that, but otherwise it is a 0 loss type of win. But I don't think I traded for anything else at this point. I think I'm out of resources to trade, but this is just a whole nother way to play this game, isn't it? And in particular this map. So you can see 3 losses. If we compare this to my 2014 game win, that it was 6.5 hour game, instead of 264 kills, 3,027. A lot of action going on there, as we saw with the demonstration of the defense and the offense. So that's pretty much all I have to say about Two Sides. It was quite a bit to say, I guess. I was all over the place in the final product video, as you see, but also in the process of me making it as well. I didn't really know how to structure this because this is a map that I've been familiar with and been wanting to do a video on this for like 5 years now. So I had quite a bit to say, but I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.